Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Winder of WonderfulLife.com here, wishing you a happy 4th of July. Hope you guys party hard, stay safe, and most of all, stay healthy in these weird, trying times. And I'm here to let you know we're going ahead and smoking a really nice brisket on our last giveaway smoker, Twin. And here's a little bit of action from it. So as you can see, we have the smoker set to 245 with the smoke level of 9 because I'm going ahead, letting it rest overnight, and then we're going to shred it and turn it into smoked empanadas. That's the current temperature because I've been opening and closing it a few times to make these videos. And that's the internal temperature of the actual brisket using the meat probe that we have. So using our Camp Chef Woodwind 20 with Wi-Fi, we've got this really nice brisket coming up to temperature. Absolutely beautiful. So the 4th of July brisket is finally at the internal temperature of 197, which is my magic number. And as you can see, that looks absolutely beautiful. So we're gonna go ahead, throw the gloves on, get it in the resting pot, and let it do its thing for about an hour. All right, time to pull it off. As you can hear, there was a lot of juices. You know it's right when that probe comes right out. Check that out. Just dripping already. We've got that nice elasticity to it that we're looking for. And a little tip for you guys, this juice is absolutely money right here, but we spent a long time developing a bark, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pour this to the side, not directly onto the brisket. Bring it inside. So the brisket's been resting for just about an hour or so. Let's go ahead and check out the fruits of our labor on this 4th of July. Honestly smells so good. Always save the pot and the juices for your leftovers and everything. First cut. See how it's looking. Doesn't come much better than that. It's a little thicker piece, but got a really nice smoke ring right there. Let's go ahead, cut it right where the cuts separate. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh, it's safe to say there's juices. And that is just running. Take a look at that. See, it's nice and tender, getting ready to come apart. Definitely passes, falls right apart with ease. That was so good. Perfect amount of black pepper and salt. We did it the Franklin barbecue style. Cannot go wrong. Perfect. So go get your cilantro, garlic, celery, peppers, onions, and jalapeno peppers. And then you get some cream cheese, shredded cheese, butter, and a nice bit of salt, some flour. And you're gonna go ahead and start chopping up your vegetables. Like I was saying before, every recipe you wanna take, make your own in a way. So you're gonna do something between diced and minced, whatever you really like your bites to be. I went ahead, started off with a half onion, realized I needed more, and so I would definitely recommend a full onion to really get that extra sweetness on top of the jalapeno and everything else. And one thing before I forget, when you're doing your jalapenos, figure out beforehand if you want to leave the seeds in or out, if you want that extra heat, or if you just want the taste of the actual jalapeno with that little bit of kick behind it. So we're just going to cut that up, drop that in the mix with everything else. And we're cutting all these up and we're going to be adding our brisket to it for the actual empanada filling. And one little trick for when you have your whole bell peppers, everybody, or your sweet peppers, is knock it right down half, slicing up to the pit, and then grab that seed stem and pull upwards towards you, and you'll knock that whole stem off in one fell swoop. Really nice and easy, a little trick I learned when I was prepping for weddings. So just like everything else, we're going to go ahead, cut that up to your desired size. Keep in mind you're going to be filling the pastry with it. So you want it pretty small, just so nothing is really bulging out of it or accidentally ripping through the dough. Here comes my second favorite part about this whole recipe. We're gonna get some fresh garlic and cilantro, throw it in a nice little chopper with some fresh oil, olive oil, vegetable oil, coconut oil, whatever you really want to help non-stick everything inside the chopper, and also it's gonna give you some slight background flavor. So always keep that in mind for which oil you're using. And then we're going to go ahead and add that back into the peppers, celery, and onion mix. And as long as I've got the tips and tricks to tell you guys, I'm going to keep on sharing it. If you ever find yourself with a lot of extras in your chopper bowl, and as you can see mine, I have these weird vertical lines running up that really make it kind of hard to scoop everything out. If you take your chopped mix up, add it back into it, shake it around a little bit, your raw fresh vegetables will help really grab all that extra seasoning and oil that's stuck on the sides, and then from there just smack out the bottom like it's ketchup, and you should get nearly everything. One thing that I cannot stress enough for these recipes and videos is always season. So you saw me throw some black pepper in there before. We're going to add more salt. And the biggest part of that is we're always going to be developing layers and flavors by continuing to season as we go. Time to oil the pan. Nope, let's get the good stuff. Yeah, that's right. That's what we're looking for. So now we're going to get our pan nice and hot, bringing the oil up to temperature, and then we're going to render out these vegetables. So we're just about seeing a little bit of smoke in the pan, and so we're going to go ahead, add all those vegetables in there for our stuffing for the brisket empanadas. We're going to saute that stuff up real quick while having a little bit of fun, messing around while we're doing it. Because ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you right now, if you're not having fun while you're cooking, you're either not doing it right or you're not cooking the right thing. So we're going to keep going on, enjoying ourselves. We're going to mix these up a little bit. Let them simmer on down, and you're going to want to bring it to the point where just the onions are just slightly turning translucent. Same with the peppers. Nice and shiny and glossy, because we still want all those vegetables to have a slight snap to them for the stuffing. So now we're going to let this cool down, throw it in the fridge with a plastic wrap on top. Now it's time for the dough, baby. So you're going to get your flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, egg, 1.5 cups of milk, and then 1.5 sticks of butter, melted, room temperature. So you're going to add your salt. We're going to sift that all around with a nice fork, your fingers, if you have a whisk, anything you really prefer. And then we're going to be adding in the half melted room temperature butter, just about half of it as it's slowly, alright, maybe 3/4 or so accidentally, which is all good. And we're just going to mix that on up until it turns into a real nice slight crumble, almost like a coffee cake looking topping. And I almost forgot to mention, if you have any family members, aunts, uncles, best friends that just so happen to have a KitchenAid, please go get it. It keeps life so much easier when it comes to dough. And having said that, to continue making the dough, we're going to go in for the first turnaround. We're going to add about 1/4 to 1/2 of our total milk amount. And now that everything's looking just about nice and dry again, we're going to go ahead, add the rest of that milk into the mix. And then we're going to continue to mix that up after incorporating the egg as well, which is going to help emulsify. And again, this is when you're really going to want to break out that KitchenAid, especially if you have a dough hook or a needle on it. And you're going to let that thing just really do its job until it's really nice formed, consistent dough. Or do it by hand the old school way like the rest of us and get it done. Alright, so go ahead, get that hard work out of the refrigerator that's been resting in there for the last few hours. As you can see, I took a nice little bit of glob of the rendered fat from the storing container in the bottom right hand corner. I have that added to the vegetables to really help add some extra flavor depth, really keep everything nice and moist. And then we're gonna cut everything into just about dime-sized pieces, because keep in mind, when you're mixing in the brisket with the vegetable, because how tender it is, some of it's going to shred, some of it's going to fall apart, So if you don't have the perfect cut down size pieces, as you mix it, it is going to continue to get smaller. So if you cut it too small from the get-go, you might actually end up with shredded brisket rather than cutting it a little bit bigger and allowing your hands to break it down to the ideal size. And one thing to always keep in mind, always keep the right size bowls. It makes things a lot easier when you're trying to mix it. And as you can see, we're gonna go ahead, add in your choice of shredded, or if you really can, please go fresh shredded block cheese. And then just about a quarter to half stick of cream cheese to help keep everything moist and nice and creamy. It's gonna really help null down the jalapeno. And now we're gonna go ahead and roll out this handmade, homemade, perfectly made empanada dough. Well, I really shouldn't say perfect too much because I accidentally left the dough on my countertop the entire time we were mixing up all the vegetables in the brisket. And so it's safe to say it was tacky as all hell. But we'll show you a little trick a little bit later on in the video, which really isn't anything too crazy, but the difference of room temperature dough versus putting it in the fridge, let it solidify a little bit and proof, absolutely night and day. And honestly, the difference between hockey puck empanadas and properly made empanadas. So as you can see, I didn't have a roller. I just used a little bar muddler to be able to roll this out. And before I forget, like I did in this video, to have a cookie cutter ready, I'm gonna have a full spread of instructions, necessary tools and everything for the recipe. That way you don't get in deep like I did and you find out halfway through that you don't have a cookie cutter, you don't really have any properly sized cups to be able to substitute as a cookie cutter. And trust me, it makes the biggest difference when it comes out to properly shaped empanada dough. Using about a tablespoon of the empanada mix, we're gonna drop a nice little spoonful into each and every single pile of dough. We're gonna fold it over, we're gonna crimp the sides, sealing it using a fork or pinching with your fingers.
So the first batch is done. It's not the best looking empanadas, but me never doing them before, didn't really know what I'm doing. But we're gonna go ahead, get them down. So we got the empanadas down. Gonna go on 15-20 minutes at 400. And we got the ribs on top.
Wow. So it's safe to say I actually cooked hockey pucks the first time around. But the second ones came out a lot better, promise you that. And it was all because I didn't egg wash them. No, I'm just kidding. But look at the difference between the second batch and the first batch. Ugh, terrible. But I think these ones are gonna be a lot better. And overall, they were on there for just about 30 minutes. Checking them every 10 seconds or so because how bad the first ones came out. But overall, it was 265 degrees for about 34 minutes, I do believe. And honestly, I'm so happy I saved the extra dough for the second batch. They came out so good. And you know they're good when they got devoured before you're able to get any footage of them getting cut open.
Now that's more like it.
Make sure you subscribe for more smoking videos, demos, and never-ending giveaways.